Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Into the Vault, the show where we reach back into the Disney vault, pull out a movie, and find out if it was a hidden treasure or if it was locked away for our own good. I'm your host Garrison MacCraw, and with me today for the very first episode of Season 2 is Josh Wainwright. Whoa!
I thought you were about to say for the very first time, and I was going to be like, the memories we've already made meant nothing to you, did they?
No, not at all. I don't remember the episodes as soon as they come out.
Oh, perfect.
So welcome to the first episode of Into the Vault, the show where we reach back into the Disney vault, pull out a movie, and find out the hidden treasure if it's locked away for our own good. We're very happy to have you all here for the very first episode, the pilot of the show.
Happy first birthday. Well, happy birth?
Happy birth.
What do you tell a baby when they get born? Happy birth?
They can't hear you.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
You just tell the mom congratulations. That's what you do.
You have a baby, and it's a little alien toe
Anytime
person.
my friends are having children, I show up at the hospital to say, happy birth. Just
How
knock
many
on the
have
window.
I missed? I didn't realize that was like a tradition.
Yeah,
oh,
you
God.
have to show up at the hospital. Anyway, yeah, this is the first episode of Season 2. It's Season 2 because I definitely ended the first season, and I didn't just get overwhelmed with, like, life and trying to find a job and all this other stuff and maybe trying to start school again. No, I was deliberately planning a hiatus.
Yeah, it was planned.
A deliberately planned hiatus that I am now picking back up with a Season 2.
Every single sentence in this podcast is going to start with Season 2. That's it. It's going to be like, you're going to ask me a question, I'm going to be like, Season 2.
Congratulations.
Amazing.
Happy birth.
I forgot the party poppers. I'm sorry. Happy birth.
Well, Josh, you don't actually know what we're looking at today.
I'm terrified.
So, if you look at your phone...
My phone?
Yes, you will see a text from me.
Oh, God.
Josh, tell us what we're watching today.
Oh, God. This is going to be so egregiously politically incorrect.
Maybe.
I'm very scared. We were watching Davy Crockett. Tagline, King of the Wild Frontier.
That's right. This 1955 movie is all about the legendary folk hero Davy Crockett, known best for his coonskin cap and fighting bears or something. He killed Tim a bar when he was only 3.
Wait, was it a bear or a bar?
He killed Tim a bar when he was only 3, is what the song says.
Right now my brain is just static because of that sentence. And the only reason I know that, and I think we've talked about this once before, is because on an old Disney, like, Parks music CD, they had big name stars from the times come and sing different songs, and they had Tim Curry sing...
Yes.
Davy Crockett, and he literally, like, after every sentence he just goes, "Haw." Like, it's haunting almost, because I can still hear it clear as day in my head. It's him just going, "Oh, Davy, haw." Like,
Davy Crockett,
it's a
King of the Wild Frontier.
And the crazy thing is, that's not the first time he was in, like, the Disney bubble, because he was Forte. So they just said... It must have been, like, the 90s.
Tim Curry's
they just said, Tim Curry is big right now.
Muppets Treasure Island.
Yeah, oh, that's true.
Three
that
Musketeers.
I think you can do it on Facebook. You can, like, tag a song on the top of your profile. I'm actually going to do that right now. I'm going to see if they have Tim Curry singing Davy Crockett, and that's going to be my song for everything. Like, hi, how are you?
I forgot about that song's existence until you brought it up to me right now. Oh man, I'm gonna.
You're not gonna sleep for weeks. I guarantee you.
I'm not going to.
It's like the opposite is equal.
Yeah.
You just listen to that song and you're up a month straight.
Natural segue back to the movie.
What movie?
So Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier. This was actually a theatrically released combination of 3 of the episodes of the Davy Crockett show. They just spliced them up into one film and released that.
I had no idea.
They didn't even tell the public. Like, the advertisements didn't make it seem like a different thing. So people went into it thinking it was a new Davy Crockett movie, but it was just the episodes they already saw.
They said, surprise, reruns.
I think the major difference was when they first aired, it was in black and white, and the theatrical cut was
color.
Was in color.
They said,
so they probably
reruns, but no.
So people thought it was a new movie. I'm guessing they're like, "Whoa, a whole different thing."
This one has colors.
It's It's weird that it starts and ends the same, but...
What an interesting time to be alive. Yeah. To be like, everything's black and white, and then all of a sudden it's like,
color.
It's real.
Why can't I see Andy Griffith in color now? It doesn't make any sense. Opie? Ope.
That's it. Oh.
Ron Howard has red hair? That was the joke I was going for. What a good joke. That was worth every second of me stumbling over the word ope.
You can call us both ope now.
Was just commentary on the fact that Ron Howard does in fact have red hair.
The more you know, honestly. Where's the star? Get that in here. We need graphics.
So, Josh, do you have any sort of predictions as to what we'll see Davy Crockett do in this film?
Do
you have a lot of background on him?
No, other than Tim Curry's song and them singing it in the Country Bear Jamboree. That's about it.
Yes.
I don't have a whole lot of anything. I know there's going to be a raccoon hat. Will it have will it be an actual raccoon like the Country Bear Jamboree? I'm not sure. I'm hopeful, but I'm not sure. It is a Disney movie after all. I don't know, the timeline of this. I'm very scared of the number of times they're going to use the term Indians in a very offensive way.
I can guarantee you that they do either say Indian or another term for Indian.
Oh, no, okay.
I'm not
fun drinking game that will just, take shots of lemonade or something. Is every time there's a very racist Native American comment.
Yeah. Well... I'll get into it after we see it, but Davy Crockett and his relationship with the native people, it's more complicated than you would think. And some of it for the better, and some of it was he was still a person living in that era.
I'm scared now.
There may or may not be a character in this movie called Red Stick.
I'm not even going to think about that. I don't want to dissect that in my head. All I know about Davy Crockett is when I was little, I had a Davy Crockett, cork gun, and it was literally just a gun that said Davy Crockett. I don't know if it looked like the one in the movie. I don't know if there's, a specific one in the movie. I have no idea. I just know I had a gun with a cork in it that went, and it said Davy Crockett. So, I also had a coonskin hat. Was I Davy Crockett?
I guess
you heard it here first, everyone. This is I have discovered myself as Davy Crockett.
All right, guys. I think we just got to watch this thing and see what happens.
Oh, God.
Season 2! And we are back. Josh, we have just finished watching Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier.
Yeah, we did.
We did just do that.
It makes me really want to go to Disneyland and jump in a canoe.
Yeah?
Because you know what we saw in that movie? 0 canoes. None. There were no canoes. Unless it's in the second one, which we'll have to touch on because I still do not understand how there could be a second one.
We will go through the plot and then we'll get to
canoes.
The second one and how there is a second one.
A surprising lack of canoes.
Yeah, there's not a lot of there's a lot of exploring.
Not even a kayak. No boat. 0 boat. There's the river boat for a second.
I'm trying to think about it. I'm like, is there no canoes this whole time?
There's no canoes.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Davy Crockett, I would give it out of 5. I'd say maybe I'd give it a 3.8. It would be higher if there were canoes. Surprising lack of boats. Drops down half a point at least.
I didn't even think about this.
You can't have the Davy Crocker.
Davy Crocker.
Betty Crocker's son.
Berries!
You can't have the Davy Crockett Explorer canoes.
The movie doesn't have canoes.
Where did you pull that from? Walt Disney was like,
That's funny.
It was originally going to be called the Davy Crockett stock footage of animals, but they couldn't make it work, so...
Yeah. So this movie opens up, and there's a military camp. It's the Creek Wars, where it's the American soldiers, with land disputes with the natives and all that.
It really just started.
It started.
Didn't give you, any... Well, no, that's not true. It started with that weird animation.
Of, an arrow hitting a fire.
And, yeah, there's, fire on a map, and that was it.
2D drawn. Yeah, and there's one military guy who's all the volunteers are here, but one of them ran off somewhere. It's where did he go? It's I don't know, he went over here. It's that's enemy territory.
They're go find him.
Go find him.
Go grab him.
This madman. Go... And we find out it's Davy Crockett and his friend Russell.
And he's just fighting a bear.
He's fighting a bear.
He just got bored.
Yeah.
Maybe. They didn't have, like, video games or anything. He was... Oh, maybe he was playing, like, back then Animal Crossing. That's what it was.
He was attempting this new technique that he called grinning him.
Oh, yeah, grin. Yeah.
Where you grin at your prey, and they are so intimidated knowing how confident you are, they'll just lay down and die in front of you so you don't have to shoot them and kill them.
And that was the moment that I kind of noticed that he had really, really good teeth.
He's got some good teeth.
For, like...
18.
No reason. Yeah, like, it's... I don't know how 18, he got 20. Such good teeth. But he sure did have nice teeth. That bear would have been like, what dentist do you go to?
I don't know too much about, like, food at the time, but he apparently went out hunting for rations for the soldiers. And he killed this bear and brought back this bear. Were they gonna eat the bear? Mm-hmm. Is bear meat good?
They eat a bear in the Narnia books. I don't think they show it in the movie. But in, I think, Prince Caspian, they kill a bear and they eat a bear.
They do kill a bear in the Prince Caspian movie. Listen to the finale of Season 1 of Into the Vault, where we review the Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian.
But in the books, they, like, specifically say that they, like...
Eat it?
Eat it, yeah. They, like, carry it with them.
If the Narnia books say it's food, guess it's food.
Well, yeah, I mean, right? Isn't that how you judge things?
Yeah, I check in the Narnia books to see if it happened.
Don't you have your pocket edition?
Yeah.
Okay. It's like
all
a little
5
Bible, but it's all 7 books. C.S. Lewis is somewhere like, oh my god.
So Davy and Russell now, like, they're scouting to see where the native, like, where their army is, and they find, like, a big, like, war camp and all this. And so they go back and tell their army, like, hey, there's a whole
before
thing.
Before that, he was like, oh, the general guy was like, there's a trail over there. Well, let's just ride on the trail. And Davy Crockett's like, no, you're stupid. And he's like, you keep taking us through brush and briar patches when there's a trail. And Davy Crockett's like, yeah. Because obviously they're going to be on the trail. And he's like, we're going to keep going this way. And this general guy's like, no, we're going to go this way. Which that never really turned into anything. That kind of was just like a tussle between the two of them.
Yeah.
But, like, because I thought they were all going to die.
But that general, like, he did run into, like, an ambush of,
yeah, but
like,
imagine
natives.
being like, hey, let's take the pro, like, woodsy guy, but then not listen to him. Like, why would we do that?
Yeah.
They saw the,
They found the scouts.
Yeah.
They found some of the native scouts and took them out. But there was already a battle between, like, the one general guy and his army and the natives where they're shooting the slowest moving arrows of all time.
You know, in Muppet Vision, when they shoot the arrows and, like, there's the physical arrows in the theater that come out when you leave, I feel like it was kind of like that.
Yeah, it was probably...
Like, the Native American people were, like, firing arrows, and then the actors who were doing the U.S. people would, like, have an arrow in their back. They'd, like, push it out and be like, ooh, I got shot. Like, it was...
Oh, no.
I mean, I'm sure for the time it was, whoa, there's a battle. But now, when the guy got shot in the back, literally stands up just to hurl himself, like, over a rock.
Yeah, arches his back in pain.
He's like, ooh, ow.
And then
or they're,
falls
like,
over.
bouncing off of people. Like, it was interesting, to say the least.
Specifically positioning themselves over rivers so they could fall and land in the river.
They said it was, sploosh.
Davy Crockett and Russell, they find the chief of that tribe, Red Stick.
I'm still not, like, reading into that. I don't even know what they're gonna, like, I'm just letting that one
Yep,
take.
that is what it is. And they get into a duel with each other where Davy Crockett's like, hey, by your own rules, we can have a one-on-one match. And the guy's like...
he's like, that doesn't work for white men, or something like that. And Davy Crockett's like, because that's when he said, oh, all of our laws work for Native American people, which did not age well.
No, there is a moment where Davy Crockett does say, like, it's like, our laws would work great for you if you just gave him a chance.
Flash forward to 2020, where we're going, oof. But then they have, like, a tomahawk battle.
Yeah.
Where they have a tomahawk and then, like, a rock on a stick, which I'm sure there's a name for it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, rock taped to a stick.
Oh, okay, awesome. And it was very dramatic, but, like, I don't know. It's like, oh, I'm going to knock one out of your hand. Now you're going to knock this one out of my hand. Now we're going to, like, roll around on the ground. Now I'm going to knock... It was, like, anticlimactic a little bit.
Yeah. At the end, Crockett wins and is like, it's like, hey, you got to sign the peace treaty like all the other guys did. And the native guy's like, the peace treaties mean nothing. That your government's a liar. They're not going to abide by it. And Crockett's like,
Flash forward to 2020 where we're like, ooh.
And Davy Crockett's like, I will do everything I can to make sure they do. And to be fair,
we do stand Davy Crockett.
Davy Crockett was, like, in Congress, a big advocate for Native American rights. He did.
Well, we haven't gotten there yet. Spoilers, Garrison.
I'm so sorry.
These lovely people.
He meant it, but whoops.
Did anyone else? Andrew Jackson, excuse me.
So that was the first of the 3 segments. The second one, which I believe is the best segment.
To be fair, I couldn't tell. I could tell when the first one ended. I couldn't tell when the second and third one.
Right.
The change between those. The first one was very obvious. It faded to black, and it was like, here we go again.
Yeah.
But then the other two kind of just like melded together.
Yes.
I would say very nicely, but it existed. But then he's in Congress.
Yeah. The second one's in Congress where it starts out with him like having like a shooting competition with some rando while he and Russell are like exploring like Tennessee. This rando's a big jerk and Davy Crockett beats him in a shooting competition, Robin Hood style to a T.
The bullet landed directly in the same bullet's hole, and
yeah,
they're like, whoa! And he said, "What just happens?"
He's like, "I'm just good,"
He's like, "It is what it is."
But there was a native man who owned a house. And it was like signed over to him. The United States government had approved it.
Yeah, like a
paper.
Yeah, I don't know. That's like a deed, maybe.
Yeah. And this rando jerk face like kicked him out.
You know who he reminded me of? Biff from Back to the Future.
It was very Biffish.
he was like Biff, except without like the time travel and everything.
Yeah.
There was no almanac. That's
that we know.
That's in the second Davy Crockett movie.
Yeah. And. So Davy Crockett helps this native guy because he's like, this jerko kicked me out of my house, and I live there. So Davy goes over, is like, hey, if the government signed it over to him, he has just as much right to be here as anyone else. And the guy's like, no, because I'm a racist, so I can do whatever I want.
He says racism states that I'm white.
Yes. And so Davy Crockett's like, all right, time for old-fashioned fisticuffs.
And they sure do. You can't see it because this is a podcast, but think of like old
boxer,
black and white movie, like both fists in the air, just like slowly rotating. That's exactly what it was. Verbatim. And then he like chucks dust in his eyes, which is a very Biff thing to do.
There's some biting going on. They fought dirty.
Not the good kind either.
And
it was an interesting fight sequence
of 2 men just kind of rolling around in some dirt.
And then the other guy, it's a set of 3. There's Davy and his 2 guys, and then there's racist Biff, we'll call him, and his 2 guys. And one of racist Biff's guys is like gonna shoot him as they're fighting. He's gonna shoot Davy, and then the Native American guy like
shoots
up
him
and shoots that guy, and they're like, haha, you were gonna cheat. And then racist Biff is like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna beat us up? And Davy's like, I already did. No, he says something about like, no, just don't be a jerk anymore.
He's like, we're gonna take you so the courts can have you, and they can determine your fate in the courthouse,
as the justice system does.
And then some guy was like, hey, Davy, none of us had the guts to stand up to that guy, and you did. You should run for Congress.
I mean, that's just what happens, right? Like when you're in middle school and there's a bully, and you say, hey, stop it. Everyone's like, he's going to be a congressman one day. He's going to grow up. He's going to be president.
But Davy's like, no, I have to get back home to my wife. Luckily for Davy, his wife died, and he got a letter saying that she's dead now. So he's like, oh, thank God, now I can run
Davy,
for Congress.
Lucky you. Your wife just bit the dust.
And he's like,
we never saw his family again.
No.
Because there were a couple scenes with the wife and the 2 boys,
yes.
And then we never saw them again.
Nope.
I hope those 2 boys are doing good.
Yeah, probably not so much.
I hope they're thriving.
Well,
the sister-in-law was like, they're like my own kids. Maybe he was like, that's good enough then.
Good enough.
Like, you have a new family, bye.
Good. And he starts, he runs for Congress, he gets elected, and Andrew Jackson's like, look, I need someone I can trust here, so just be my buddy, by my side, and Davy Crockett's like, Of course, man. I love you, Andrew Jackson.
Yeah, he's like, I got you. You are so unproblematic. 100%.
I love you, Andrew Jackson, so much.
I love you 3000. He actually said that. That's where the term came from.
So there's a part where he's like campaigning on the trail and like having speeches across the nation, and everyone loves him. And while he's gone, there's a bill that's put onto the Congress floor, like to pass, on like revoking like all their treaties they made with the natives. And Davy's like, they did this while I'm gone, so I didn't like fight against it because they know I'm pro the natives keeping their land. So he runs back to Congress on his horse and is like busts in and does this huge speech.
Literally, like, there should have been like an emotional, like a slow pop song playing as like made his stand, and that swells and he like walks out. Everyone's like, yeah. They passed it anyway, so it didn't
most likely
matter. But like, it was a nice moment.
It was nice. Here's where historically it's a little off to me, because Davy Crockett was very much against the Native American like removal act that was being passed, but it was led by Andrew Jackson. But in this movie, he's like, now I know Andrew Jackson's a fine man. It's really these members of Congress who are awful.
He said he's a fine. Well, that's not exactly what he said, because he said that there's people. Because he said he used a lot of weird words, obviously, but he said something about like, oh, there's a bunch of bad people trying to pass this bill, and he said the worst people are the people who are letting it happen. I think. Well, that's what I took from it. So maybe indirectly he was like, Andrew Jackson kind of not the greatest, but he didn't say, hey, Andrew Jackson is not the greatest, which is what should have been done.
I believe this movie was probably made in a time where you could not talk about a president in a negative light, so that's probably why the movie shied away from it a little bit.
They said, don't you ever, ever, no problems.
Yeah.
No problems.
So Crockett's like, this bill sucks, and he tears it in half and walks out, and thunderous applause.
Everyone's like, woo. My favorite part of that whole scene is he walked in, he had never, like, even heard of this bill before, until this guy was like, yeah, they're passing this bill. So he walks in, literally picks up this giant, like, comically large piece of paper, looks at it, puts it back down, and is like, bad. There's no way unless he's a speed reader maybe, but he literally glanced at it, and he's like, this is horrible, which, I mean, it was. But, like, how would he know? You know? Like, it's not like he sat and read the bill. Also, the whole bill was on one piece of paper. One very large piece of paper.
Wow.
What a
Could
bill.
You imagine?
What a time.
It's like nowadays, it's like, this bill is to help the clean water, but also it's for Pez dispensers are illegal, but also this bill makes like jet fuel more expensive.
Yeah, like, bills are chunky now. This was just one giant, like, stereotypical curled up piece of paper that he unrolled, he said, and then he made his speech.
So now that his political career is done because he made his big speech, he found out that there's things going on at the Alamo, and they're like, hey, the Texans are fighting for freedom or against Mexico or something.
Whatever.
And he's like,
that's technically, this is like the third act, I guess, is the third segment. But the two kind of smushed together really well. Mm-hmm. There was like a hot second of more weird cartoon 2D animation, but they just glazed over it.
Now this particular segment is less like meaty than the other two. It's mostly just like action scene after action scene.
It's like a war. It's just like a battle movie.
So Davy and Russell, they start heading down to the Alamo. They run into Captain Hook, or the actor.
No, you're right. Captain Hook. Actual Captain Hook.
Actual Captain Hook.
You know the type.
Yeah. No, the actor who played Captain Hook in Disney's Peter Pan is in this as like a riverboat gambler kind of guy.
I believe that was his name, wasn't it?
Riverboat gambler kind of guy. Yeah. And this guy, if you put him in the outfit, he could play Hook.
He was
live
Captain
action.
Hook.
Oh, definitely. And his voice, I love his voice so much.
His voice did sound like Captain Hook, didn't it? That was really weird. That's crazy. It's almost like Disney should have hired him to voice Captain Hook. That's wild.
I'm just saying it sounded nice, Josh. I don't go on your podcast and make fun of you for talking about Captain Hook.
It's because I don't invite you to my podcast.
It's true.
I'll change that.
I've not been invited once.
We'll make that better. But I'll keep cutting you off. Every time you try to say something, I'll just cut you off. It'll be a great time. But yeah, Captain Hook, who I like, there wasn't really like an introduction. He was just like a gambling guy, and they said,
"Welcome to the team."
Yeah, they're like, "Hey, Texas," and he's like,
okay.
Yeah, he's like, all right.
And then they meet on the trail, they meet this native who is, he has a lot of bad luck, is like his character. Like, his horse tripped over like a groundhog hill.
Yeah, he was running away from a stampede of buffalo. Which, let's take a pause real quick, because there is something that we haven't talked about. And that is the shots of just animals that definitely they just use stock footage from their nature documentaries, because you can just tell the quality of it,
It's
the
two
angles of it.
different types of cameras.
Literally, like Davy Crockett looks across the lake. All of a sudden, there's a kind of fuzzy alligator, because it's old footage, like slipping down into the river. Then it goes back to sort of HD Davy Crockett, and then he's like beating on an alligator, and it keeps going from like semi-HD Davy Crockett to kind of fuzzy alligator flailing around in the water.
It's so...
There was bears. There was buffalo, stampede of buffalo.
Yeah.
And
There's the moment where Davy like looks out and smiles, and it cuts to just fuzzy image of like 20 bears in the woods.
And he's like, ha, bears. Those are the country bears.
Yes, he says that.
Yeah, he literally does. That's when he gives his hat to Henry.
Yeah.
It makes sense. But this Native American guy is on his horse running away from the stampede of buffalo, and then they're like, he's gonna run through that prairie dog town, and then there's stock footage of a prairie dog popping out of a hole, and the horse, I guess, like trips in the tunnels. It like collapses, maybe. Or I don't know what happened, but then he gets tossed off his horse. Then he's just like rolling around on the ground.
So earlier in the film, we had a bunch of native characters. For the most part, they all seem. I'm pretty sure most of them were natives themselves. This actor was definitely a white guy.
A white man.
He was definitely not any form of ethnic, not even a little bit.
That does sound familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah. I like how in
this podcast is for Johnny Depp. How you doing?
How you doing? I do like how
Johnny Depp.
How at least for some of the actors they actually hired Native Americans in 1954, whereas modern like 2012 Disney couldn't even do that.
They said, you know who would be a great Lone Ranger?
And Tonto.
Let's grab Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp, yes. Of course.
Yeah, so then he's like, I thought he died for a minute because he was just like laying on the ground. So then Davey goes to try to help him, and this guy tries to stab him because
that's what you do.
A white man, yeah. But then they like convince him that they're fine. He racially stereotype eats buffalo meat like a savage person, which was weird.
It was a very poor acting choice.
Yes.
Not the best acting choice from that.
So then this guy, I don't know what his name was. He didn't have a name.
It was something that basically meant like guy. Bad luck or something like that.
Me too. He like takes them to the Alamo, and they
are like, "Hey, we're here at the Alamo. Yeah. What's going on?" They're like,
"No," because there's that really weird chase scene.
Oh yeah.
Where there's the army, and they're like, "Oh, that's..."
The Mexican army chases them into the Alamo.
Bad. And it was just like very anticlimactic.
Yeah. So then they show up into the fort of the Alamo, and they're like, "Hey guys, how's it going?" They're like, "Pretty bad. We're all probably gonna die.
We're gonna die today."
And they're like, "We sent a bunch of guys out to go get more recruits, but no one came back."
He meets David Bowie.
Yeah, David Bowie. No, he meets James Bowie, the inventor of the Bowie knife, and they're like, "Hey, you made that knife." And he's like, "I did." And that's his whole character.
That was it. And then he was just like sick in bed.
Yeah.
I don't think there was an explanation. He was just like, my cough won't go away.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's gonna die. And then he sure was in bed for the rest of the movie.
Yep. There was a moment where Russell runs out to see if he could get more soldiers.
Just plows through the line of the enemy twice. Once going out and once coming back, and survives both times.
Yep. Running just right in between the Mexican soldiers. And he gets back, he's like, "Yeah, no, there's no one coming." And the general's like, "Listen, men, I can't tell you have to stay. You can leave if you want. But if you're really an American and super cool, you will stay."
Cool people stay.
Cool people stay.
Cool people die.
And everyone's like, "Well, I want to be cool." So they all stay.
The only one who like thinks about it for a second is Captain Hook.
Who's like, "Ooh, I'm a shifty guy. I don't know."
But then, of course, he's like, "Peer pressure," and he joins.
And he dies because of it.
He sure
they
does.
all do. The
Everyone
Alamo.
dies. The end.
Yep.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. This is Everyone
No,
Dies.
that's it. Because the Alamo doesn't work out so well for the defenders if you're aware of history.
If you're not, everyone dies.
Yeah, the Mexican army very much overwhelms the fort. And this battle scene for like old TV, I love these old TV battles where it's just like cannon smoke and gunfire.
It's switching from soundstage to soundstage. Like one's the ground and one's the fort.
Yeah. And like the guys putting ladders up and they're slowly pushing the ladders off.
There's your like cartoon bombs with wicks coming out of them.
There was a great moment where, or it happened twice, where a cannon fire sound happened off screen, and then like one of those cartoon round bombs hit the fort and bounced off. And I know it's like two different things, but it makes it seem like that was the cannonball, and it just bounces off the fort.
I believe it. Isn't that what they did?
Yeah.
What would you do if you put like a bomb like that in a cannon?
There were cannons that shot bombs.
Exploding. You just saw one.
Yeah, obviously,
and then
Josh.
It went boing and like bounced off the fort.
There's a lot of like weird cannon fire other than just the big balls. There's
forks. I've seen Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes.
They said silverware. There's knives.
So yeah, they're all shooting things. Probably not knives, but we can't be certain at each other.
We didn't see them.
Yeah.
That we didn't physically see them doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Yeah, because we don't see the bullets either.
No.
They were all shooting forks at each other.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That checks out.
But yeah, they all end up dying, and the last man standing is Davy Crockett.
He's just whacking. He's not even shooting. He has his gun flipped backward. My pop gun. Aww. He's like, what was it called? Betsy?
Yeah.
It was like a gift from one of the states to him, and he's just like
slamming.
It's like he's at Drive Shack or something. He's just like whacking
Top
people.
Golf.
Yeah, it's like welcome to Davy Crockett Top Golf. And then that was like the last scene, and then it was like, all right, thanks for watching the movie. Yeah, but then there's a second movie. Do you know why? Do you know how?
Yes.
Is it?
And we'll get to it later.
First, here's some. Not fair. That's not fair.
No. So, I'll get started on the fun facts. Because it'll
naturally... Fun fact, there's a second movie. Why is that, Garrison?
It all naturally ties together. These series of shorts were insanely popular when they came out. Insanely popular. It was the first, like, media, like, craze. Like, you see them nowadays, like, more recent times, they had, like, Star Wars, where, like, when Star Wars came out, like, the toy craze was insane. Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, like, even... Frozen. Davy Crockett was the first big craze. Like, anything with Davy Crockett on it sold out immediately. Disneyland was making coonskin caps, and every kid around was wearing them. Mickey Mouse Club, like, kids had, like, coonskin caps. They had Fess Parker come on, and, like, you know, as Davy Crockett, and it was insane.
Word association. Davy Crockett. Popular. Pop. Gun. Davy Crockett Pop Gun. Bam.
Whoa!
That's how they made their products. They were like, we got this. We got this under... Like,
yes. Yeah, Disney realized pretty quickly, oh no, he's dead.
Well, I'm going to take a stab at this. Is the second movie, like, in between?
Yeah, it's like a prequel.
So it's kind of like the second Beauty and the Beast, the Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Where it takes place, like, during the original one.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, yeah, Davy Crockett and the River Pirates was created because Davy Crockett was dead. You couldn't make new stories. It's widely known that, like, Walt Disney was very much like, oh no, why did we... If I had known, I wouldn't have killed him in the third episode.
Walt Disney did a lot of things, but he still liked money.
Yeah. There was even a lot of attempts to recreate the Davy Crockett craze. So Disney produced a ton of other folk hero TV shows trying to capitalize on this. So there was one called Swamp Fox, which was a American Revolution soldier played by Leslie Nielsen. If you've seen Airplane, you know who he is. And he just this guy who was the inventor of, like, American guerrilla warfare in the Revolution, and he had a tri-corner, like, colonial hat with foxtails on it. And they tried so hard to sell that as, like, the next coonskin cap.
They
was
said,
like,
look, kids, a hat with a dead animal. You'll love it. And kids are like,
no. And they're like,
Yeah.
Davy Crockett, please?
They said, that's not a raccoon.
Yeah, there was a few other ones. And not only that, other companies tried to capitalize on this too.
Wait, which one was the mouse one? Because they still sell those.
Which one?
The mouse hats. They have like the big round ears.
But no, other companies tried to capitalize on this too. Fess Parker, who played Davy Crockett, his next big gig was playing Daniel Boone, which is just another frontiersman.
It's just Davy Crockett all over again.
NBC made their own show where they put Fess Parker in a coonskin cap, and I think they tried to buy the rights of Davy Crockett from Disney, but Disney said no. So they just chose Daniel Boone and made their own.
They said, hey, you're going to do the exact same thing, but
you have a different name.
Yeah.
They basically recreated his popular character as just like Walmart brand Davy Crockett.
It's the great value Davy Crockett.
Yeah.
The up and up Davy Crockett.
Like, it was insane. In fact, this movie had such a big influence. There are some reports of soldiers in Vietnam who were big fans of Davy Crockett. And because of the morals and lessons they learned watching Davy Crockett specifically, there'd be times where they like questioned their own beliefs and like whether what they were doing was right in Vietnam. And there's cases like soldiers like having like enemies in their like sight lines of their weapon and chose not to fire.
Huh, how interesting.
Like, and like attributing it to like growing up watching people like Davy Crockett, who like made them kind of question like, well, what's right, what's wrong? Because Davy Crockett was about war, but he was also very much about peace. Mm-hmm. And looking at people different than you, like maybe we're not all so different.
He was good.
Yeah,
we liked Davy Crockett.
We liked Davy Crockett.
It was a different time, and
Yeah.
he didn't realize that a lot of stuff was going to happen. But he did. He respected
tried.
people. He respected human beings.
Yeah.
Which, wow, what a lesson to learn.
Yeah.
It is 2020, everyone. Respect other people. Aren't you glad I'm here?
Yep.
I'll be your political episode.
Obviously, the influence of Davy Crockett is still huge in Disney today. You still have...
How huge is it, Garrison? Enough to fill a boat? Or maybe a canoe?
Yeah, over in Disneyland, you have the Davy Crockett Explorer canoes. You used to have those at Disney World as well. Those have since gone away. They used to have the Mike Fink keel boats, which is more based on the sequel, the River Pirates one. So you could go around the rivers of America in an old-timey river boat. Inside the Country Bear Jamboree, like you mentioned, they sing his theme song.
Which I always think is so funny. Although they say tame, don't they?
Tamed him a bar.
They say tamed them a bear. Because I'm always like...
Instead of killed.
Because I'm like, y'all are bears, and he definitely did the stabby to a bear. I'm sorry, a bar.
A bar.
Thank you.
He killed him a bar.
A bar, sir. I'll get it eventually.
Surrey.
Surrey. Yeah, what was it that they said? It said fern.
Fern.
Instead of fun, he said fern.
Over at Fort Wilderness, you have the Crockett Tavern. At Trail's End, you have a bunch of Davy Crockett. Like, there's a whole board in there of, like, Davy Crockett memorabilia. So it has, like, the coonskin cap, a rifle, like a picture of him and all this other stuff.
The problem with that is I'm just so distracted by waffles and a yogurt bar that I have no time to be like, Davy Crockett, because I am physically making myself ill with how much food I'm eating. There's no other way to do it.
Speaking of physically make yourself ill with how much food you're eating, right next door at Hoop-de-Doo, they retell a Davy Crockett story, very much a more legend kind of one, where it's like, the big hero, Davy Crockett.
He was the bear.
Yeah.
It's a hybrid.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. What did he say he was? He was part
he's
alligator, part...
bear. No,
not bear. It was part horse, part alligator with a little bit of snapping turtle.
Yep.
Which that means you're mostly amphibian, like you're mostly a reptile.
Yeah.
What's lizard man? That's Davy Crockett, Lizard Man. Yeah. That's the third movie coming out soon.
Of course, you still have coonskin caps. Still sell. I still see people wearing them.
Frontierland.
Obviously, obviously not close to at the height of the Davy Crockett craze, where you couldn't, take 2 steps without running into a kid with a coonskin cap.
Did they ever have a Davy Crockett performer? I know they had Tom Sawyer way back when.
I don't know. I know back in the day at Disneyland, whenever they would sometimes have like special events where the actual actor would like show up and like, because I know they did it for Zorro, where like the actual actor for Zorro showed up at Disneyland for like a couple special events and like did a little stunt show. I'm betting, I'd have to look it up, but I'm betting that they had Davy Crockett show up, like Fess Parker, as Davy Crockett, and like he showed up at the parks for like special occasions.
What an easy performer, just like
yeah,
tall, white, raccoon cap, and little fringe vest. Disney, where you at?
I genuinely believe Disney should have Davy Crockett show up in Frontierland nowadays.
He says,
like,
yeehaw.
Like meet and greets and stuff. I think his look is iconic enough for even if you don't know it's Davy Crockett, you would still want a picture with him because you're like, whoa, I'm in Frontierland.
Yeah,
here's a frontiersman.
Yeah, like you look all country. Like, you look like that.
Not necessarily like as like end of a line. You have to like build a whole building and have like fast pass reservations.
Because as of right now, the thing that
Frontierland
we have a
Hall.
lot of Frontier is it's just they say yeehaw cowboy, which isn't necessarily accurate.
And I think we have enough princes and princesses. We need a congressman meet and greet.
Where's our Alexander Hamilton?
Yeah.
He meets in the Hall of Presidents and it's just Lynn biting his lip.
Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier.
Ew.
He went off to Congress and he served a spell, fixing up the government and laws as well.
Helpless. It's the bears in the background. The Schuyler sisters are bears. Anyway, okay.
Didn't they also like become weakened by his smile? Isn't that a line in the musical?
Yeah, it sure is. Is that the next Disney musical? Crockett.
Coming soon to Disney Plus.
Lin-Manuel is Davy Crockett too. He will not rest until he's portrayed every U.S. like icon.
Yeah.
He says, "Here I am as Betsy Ross."
I gotta sew this flag together.
I'm making a flag. People call me a hag. Oh, wow. Let me just take a left turn.
So if we were to make a modern day Davy Crockett attraction, because as we know, there were no canoes in the movie. So the one they have, even at Disneyland... Inaccurate. We have to make our own thing.
Incorrect.
I have an idea.
Go for it. Because I have a semi-idea as well.
All right. I'm thinking, in Frontierland, there used to be a stunt show. Like, there used to be on the rooftops of the Frontierland things, there was, like, a very small stunt show where, like, it'd be cowboys and outlaws and all that. You could easily do that. Maybe you don't have to specifically say who he's fighting, but just have, like, soldiers show up. And or it could even be, like, frontiersman hooligans, and Davy Crockett showing them what's what.
It's funny you say that.
Yeah?
Because my idea was also a stunt show.
Whoa!
But you would, instead of trying to follow any kind of story, so instead of making it Native Americans or like the Mexican army, you just create your own Davy Crockett story where maybe he's fighting like, even if you want to be stereotypical and be like bank robbers or something. Because that seems like a Davy Crockett thing to do. Like, those are bad guys. Get them! You know, like any kind of rough and tough outlaw people. Mow them over, like mow them down, Davy.
Just people.
That's the name of the show, actually.
Mow them down.
Mow them down, Davy. Performed today at 1:15, 3:45, and 7.
But I think you could easily, because the rooftop's already set up for those kind of performances, because they've done it before. So I think that would be a very easy way to incorporate Davy Crockett into Frontierland already.
Because the thing is, I don't think you could ever make this a stereotypical ride, because there's just nothing, there's no real story.
You could make like Davy Crockett's like frontier trail and just do like an old-timey like
it's just Mine Train through Nature's Wonderland.
Yeah,
they just brought it back, but it's an animatronic.
It would basically just be Nature's Wonderland, but instead you would have like Davy Crockett and all them in it too. I feel like
the stories, since there's basically 3 separate stories, it's hard to make one ride to go through.
I'm surprised they haven't done this, but I think it would be so easy and okay to me to just turn the shooting arcade and just call it Davy Crockett's shooting arcade. Yeah. Like, I don't know why just do that. Have every gun just be Betsy, so you just paint the bottom gold a little bit.
And you just, every time you fire, you have to lick your finger and touch the top of it.
Yep.
Which he did for, I'm sure there was a reason, but I don't know what it was. He said, lick it and fire.
Yes.
That's my motto.
Oh, man. Any other points you want to make before we give a little stamp on this? A little stamp of approval or disapproval?
I don't think so.
No?
Other than I can't wait to find on Disney Plus somewhere the stock footage of the animals, because then I'm going to see that alligator. I'm gonna be like,
I know that.
Davy Crockett. I'm gonna be like, that was you and Davy.
I want to talk about one more moment.
Oh God.
Russell saves Davy Crockett from one of the natives in one of the battle scenes early on, and Davy Crockett's like, "Wow, since you saved me,
that's right."
Since you saved me, I bet my wife owes you a kiss for saving my life." And so when they show up back home, Russell jumps off his horse, grabs Davy's wife, and kisses her. And she's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Well, Davy said I could since I saved your life. Saved his life." And she's like, "Oh, well, in that case," and she kisses him
again. And then Davy walks over and he says something about women. And then he kisses her.
He's like, "You'll never get a girl that way," and picks her up and kisses her better, I guess?
And then the other, he's just watching. It was and then it just faded away.
Yeah.
It was very uncomfortable. If I don't care how close I am to you, I'm not gonna swoop in and make out with the person you're dating just because I helped you change your tire or something, oh man, they forgot their wallet, so I bought them a slice of pizza, so now I get to make out with you. You know the deal.
You know the deal. What do we think? Is this a hidden treasure, or should it be locked away?
I don't think it should be locked away. But I also wouldn't go as far as to say it was a hidden treasure. It's widely available, which is fine.
Yeah.
There was no part where I was sitting there and I was like, this is amazing.
Right.
Except maybe the part where he threw the tomahawk at the guy's back and it literally bounced off and then the guy fell to the ground. I was like, that was pretty cool. But I wouldn't go as far to say it was a hidden treasure because I was never blown away by it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I gotcha. I think in terms of action TV shows for the era,
it was
I think it's
good.
very impressive. And if you're like an old TV kind of guy anyway, if you liked the shows like Gunsmoke or Bonanza,
very similar.
You would probably like this kind of a thing. Or even if you like old Clint Eastwood or John Wayne kind of movies, I think this would kind of be up your alley. As a Disney fan, I think you should definitely watch it at least once if you claim to be a Disney fan, just because of the history behind it. As its own piece, I think it's good.
It's decent. It's
good.
Adequate. There, I'm adding a third tier.
Yeah.
It's either locked away for good, a hidden treasure, or very much adequate.
No. There's two. I have 2 ratings.
I would
hidden treasure or locked away. You have to choose.
It's
hidden treasure.
Don't listen to him. It's adequate.
Yeah, I think that does this episode. If you like us, you can leave us a review on the Apple Podcast app. You can check us out on Instagram at Into the Vault Podcast or on Facebook at Into the Vault Podcast. Josh, do you have things you like to plug?
I mean, I have a podcast too.
What? What's it called?
It's called Mouse and Globe, which is also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We have Twitter and Instagram. Me and my friend Case just talk about Disney and Universal. We just talk. There's no sense to it. So if you like to listen to people that might maybe make you laugh, probably not, but maybe make you laugh, shoot on
just
over
keep
there.
Listening to this show.
Give it a try.
If you want people to maybe make you laugh, just listen to this show.
Yeah, okay, so you're going to invite me, you're going to tell me to plug mine, and you're going to say, never mind, don't listen to that. You know what? I did you a favor by being here, Garrison, so I'm going to go kiss Jaden now.
Oh,
Thank
no!
You.
Actually, you know what? You did do me a favor, so I guess it's okay.
Hey, Jaden!